The studio lights of Family Feud blazed down, casting a warm glow on Aditi Bati as she stood at the Fast Money podium. Her yellow sari shimmered like a sunrise, each fold carefully draped to honor the moment. To the audience, she was a poised 26-year-old software engineer from Austin, Texas, standing on the brink of winning $20,000. But to Aditi, this wasn't just a game show. It was a lifeline, a chance to bridge the gap between her and the two little girls waiting for her across the world. Aditi's cousin Raj had already scored 132 points in the Fast Money round, leaving her with the task of earning just 68 more to secure the prize. It sounded simple enough. 5 questions, 20 seconds, a routine challenge for a show that thrived on quick wit and clever answers. But as Steve Harvey, the show's charismatic host, approached her, he sensed something different. Aditi wasn't buzzing with the usual contestant nerves. There was a quiet intensity in her eyes, a weight to her presence that hinted at a story far bigger than the game. "Aditi, you look absolutely stunning," Steve said, his voice warm as he adjusted his crisp black suit jacket. "That yellow sari is gorgeous." Aditi's hand brushed the fabric, her fingers lingering on the intricate embroidery. "Thank you, Mr. Harvey," she said softly, her voice catching just enough to make him pause. "This sari, it has a story. My mother-in-law gave it to me this morning. She said yellow is the color of new beginnings in our culture." Steve nodded, his smile encouraging but unaware of the depth behind her words. "Beautiful, beautiful. All right, you know how this works. 5 questions, 20 seconds. Raj got you 132 points. You need 68 for that $20,000. You ready?" Aditi closed her eyes for a fleeting moment, and in that breath, the world seemed to fall away. She saw the past 5 years flash before her. The devastating diagnosis that crushed her dreams of motherhood. The 3 failed IVF treatments that drained their savings. The nights she and her husband Vikram held each other, sobbing until dawn. And then, the phone call 8 months ago that changed everything. A call from Vikram's aunt in Mumbai, telling them about 2 3-year-old twin girls, Anaya and Asha, waiting in a children's home for a family. The moment Aditi saw their photo, their shy smiles and bright eyes, she knew they were her daughters. She just didn't know how they'd bring them home. "I'm ready," she whispered, her voice steady but thick with emotion. 20 seconds on the clock, Steve announced. "Here we go. Name something that makes a house a home." "Children's laughter," Aditi answered instantly, her voice carrying a longing that made Steve glance at her curiously. "Name a sound that keeps you up at night." "A baby crying," she said, a single tear slipping down her cheek. "What age do people say is the best age to be?" 3, Aditi replied, her voice breaking on the word, as if it held the weight of the world. "Name something people save money for." "Adoption," she said, and the dam broke. Tears streamed down her face, and she gripped the podium to steady herself. "Name something that comes in pairs." "Sisters waiting for parents," Aditi managed through sobs, her words raw and unfiltered. The buzzer sounded, signaling the end of the round, but the studio was eerily silent. No cheers, no applause, just the hum of the lights and the collective breath of an audience witnessing something extraordinary. Aditi collapsed against the podium, her carefully applied makeup streaking down her face. Steve, usually quick with a joke or a quip, was at her side in an instant, his face etched with concern. "Aditi, honey, what's wrong? Talk to me," he said, his voice gentle but urgent. She looked up at him, her eyes brimming with a mix of pain and hope. "Mr. Harvey, I'm sorry. Those answers, they're not just answers. My husband and I, we're adopting 2 little girls, twin sisters, 3 years old, in India, but we might lose them." Steve's brow furrowed. His heart clearly tugged. "What do you mean, lose them?" Aditi took a shaky breath, trying to find the words. "We've been trying to have children for 5 years. The doctors said our chances were basically zero. We spent everything, $60,000, our life savings, my parents' help, on treatments that didn't work. 8 months ago, Vikram's aunt called from Mumbai. She volunteers at a children's home and told us about Anaya and Asha. The moment we saw their picture, it was like they were already ours. But international adoption is so expensive, $38,000 for everything. We've sold my jewelry, my car, taken extra jobs. My mother-in-law sold family land in India. We've raised $20,000, but we're still $18,000 short. And there's another family, a wealthy one from London, ready to adopt them. If we can't pay in 30 days, we lose them." The audience was riveted, many already dabbing at their eyes. Aditi's voice broke again as she continued. "The worst part, the children's home sends us videos. The girls are learning English, calling us Mama and Papa. They've drawn pictures of our family, stick figures of all 4 of us. They kiss our photo every night saying, 'Good night, Mama. Good night, Papa. See you soon.' How do you tell 3-year-olds their parents aren't coming?" Steve stood motionless, tears glistening in his own eyes. For a man who'd built a career on quick comebacks, he was speechless, absorbing the weight of her story. The audience was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. "Let's look at your answers," Steve finally said, his voice thick with emotion. "Let's see how you did." The board lit up. Children's laughter for what makes a house a home. 32 points. A baby, crying, for a sound that keeps you up at night. 28 points. 3 for the best age to be, 15 points. Adoption for something people save money for, 8 points. The total, 83 points, more than enough to win the $20,000. The audience erupted, but Steve raised a hand for quiet. "Wait, we've got one more. You said sisters waiting for parents for something that comes in pairs." The board buzzed. 0 points. The answer wasn't there. But Steve turned to the camera, tears streaming down his face. "That may be 0 points on our board, but that's the best answer ever given on this show. Sisters waiting for parents. That's worth more than any points." Aditi was sobbing too hard to stand, but Steve wasn't done. "Aditi, look at me," he said, helping her up. "You've won $20,000, that's yours. But I'm telling you something else. The Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation is going to give you the other $18,000 you need. We're making sure Anaya and Asha come home." The studio exploded in cheers. Aditi's family rushed the stage, enveloping her in hugs. Amid the chaos, she pulled a small photo from a hidden pocket in her sari and showed it to Steve. "This is them," she said through tears. "These are our daughters." The photo showed 2 little girls in matching pink dresses, holding hands, their shy smiles radiating hope. Steve's eyes softened as he looked at it. "We're doing more than giving you the money," he said. "Family Feud is going to document your journey to bring these girls home. We want America to see this story, to understand that families are made of love, not just DNA." The episode aired 2 weeks later, and within hours, it went viral. The clip of Aditi's answer, "Sisters waiting for parents," and Steve's emotional response was shared millions of times. A GoFundMe page Vikram had set up months earlier exploded with donations, raising $300,000 in just 48 hours. Messages poured in from parents who'd adopted, couples battling infertility, and families who knew the ache of waiting. Aditi and Vikram, overwhelmed by the generosity, decided to take only what they needed for the adoption and use the rest to start a foundation to help other families adopt children from India, especially those who'd been waiting the longest. 3 weeks later, Steve and a small film crew joined Aditi and Vikram at the airport as they boarded a flight to Mumbai. Aditi wore a deep purple sari, explaining to Steve, "Purple represents the universe's infinite possibilities. Today, anything is possible." The journey was emotional, filled with nervous anticipation. On the plane, they showed Steve videos from the children's home, Anaya and Asha practicing their new last name, Batty, in wobbly letters, and saying Mama and Papa in halting English. When they arrived at the modest children's home in a bustling Mumbai neighborhood, nothing could have prepared them for the reunion. As Aditi and Vikram approached the playroom, Asha spotted Vikram through a window. "Papa! Papa, come!" she shouted, grabbing Anaya's hand. "Anaya, Papa here!" Anaya saw Aditi and both girls began jumping, screaming, "Mama! Papa, you came!" Aditi and Vikram dropped to their knees as the girls ran into their arms, touching their faces as if to confirm they were real. "You came for us," they kept repeating in a mix of Hindi and English. Steve, standing back with tears streaming down his face, spoke to the camera. "In 30 years of television, I've never seen anything like this. This is what love looks like. This is what family means." The days that followed were a whirlwind of paperwork and bonding. The cameras captured it all, the girls showing their parents every corner of the children's home, their first taste of ice cream at a restaurant, and their insistence on holding Aditi and Vikram's hands at all times. One night, the girls showed their parents where they'd kept the family photo, demonstrating their nightly ritual. "Every night we kiss you," Asha said seriously, "and we say, 'See you soon, Mama, Papa.'" Anaya grinned. "But now we don't need the picture. We have real Mama, Papa." The journey back to Austin was filled with small wonders. The girls' awe at the airplane, their excitement at having their own seats, and the way they fell asleep clutching their parents' hands. At the airport, the local Indian-American community greeted them with signs in English and Hindi. "Welcome home, Anaya and Asha." But the biggest surprise awaited at their house. The Harvey Foundation had renovated a room for the girls, painted in soft purples and pinks with butterfly decals, filled with toys and books in both languages. "This ours?" Asha asked in wonder. "All yours, baby," Vikram said. Anaya ran between the two beds, jumping on each. "2 beds for 2 sisters," she declared. 6 months later, a Family Feud follow-up special showed the girls thriving in preschool, mixing Hindi and English in their own unique language. Aditi and Vikram's foundation had already helped 12 families adopt, focusing on sibling groups and older children. Anaya, now confident, told Steve, "We don't say goodnight to a picture anymore. We say it to real Mama and Papa." Asha added, "And they're there every morning." 2 years later, Aditi spoke at a national adoption conference, wearing the same yellow sari from that fateful Family Feud episode. "2 years ago, I stood at a podium, terrified I'd never bring my girls home," she said. "Today, they're in the audience, probably sneaking snacks and definitely not sitting still." The crowd laughed as the camera panned to Anaya and Asha, now 5, waving in matching purple dresses. "Adoption isn't about perfect children or perfect parents," Aditi continued. "It's about finding the ones whose laughter you hear in your dreams before you've even met them." 3 years after the episode, life surprised Aditi and Vikram with a miracle. Aditi was pregnant. After years of being told it was impossible, They were expecting a son. When they told the girls they'd be big sisters, Anaya said, "We waited for you. Now we can help the baby not have to wait." Asha chimed in, "We'll teach the baby everything. English words, Hindi words, how to be a baddie." On a Family Feud reunion show, Aditi, visibly pregnant, addressed the question everyone asked. "Do you love your adopted daughters differently now that you're having a biological child?" She smiled. "I forget they're adopted. They're just my daughters. This baby will be our third child, not our real child. Anaya and Asha made us parents. This baby just makes us parents of 3. 5 years after that tearful fast money round, the Batty family, now Aditi, Vikram, Anaya, Asha, and 2-year-old Dev, had become adoption advocates. Their foundation had facilitated over 100 adoptions. At another Family Feud reunion, Anaya, now 8, reflected, "I remember waiting, hoping every day our parents would come. And then they did. And they were better than we imagined." Asha added, "We used to share everything at the children's home. Now we share the most important thing, our family." Aditi looked at her family, her voice steady but full of emotion. "5 years ago, I thought my heart would break if we couldn't bring our girls home. But it didn't break. It broke open to make room for all this love. Every tear I cried that day was worth it." The yellow sari now hangs framed in their home, next to photos of Anaya and Asha in pink dresses and newer pictures of all 3 children. Below it, a sign reads, "Love finds a way." What began as a desperate plea on a game show had become a global beacon of hope, proving that families aren't always born. They're discovered, fought for, and built on love that crosses continents and conquers every obstacle.